Hey guys, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm talking about something that just came to my attention. That is that Dr. Cornell West is planning on running for president in the next presidential election. That may be one of the best things I've heard in probably 5 years. Cornell West to me is a very deep thinker. Cornell West has always been a hero of mine. Him as well as Chris Hedges are two individuals that have really had a monumental influence on me growing up. Huge monumental influence upon my philosophy, my ideas, my beliefs of a better world, of a society that actually makes sense for other people, a world that is possible. Listening to him talk, it's good to see he hasn't changed. There's a lot of people that we've watched change. Kanye West and others that have changed, and you're left with the shock of how is that possible? How could a black man do that? Seeing him talk reminded me of just the fact that, he hadn't changed any. I think that they'll kill him. But, and a part of me, with watching what happened with Snowden and the ongoing crisis with him makes me wonder, is any of it really important? Is America worth saving, if you will? The fact that Snowden exposed American war crimes, the fact that he exposed, the collateral murder tapes that the U.S. government, killed people and lied about it, and, the leaks we've had, the Navy, it was gas or air fuel that leaked into the waters around Hawaii. They lied about it. Now we know they lied about it. They knowingly lied. It makes me wonder, does anybody care? Or is the U.S. government is it just normal now that they lied back in the day, but they were able to kind of hide and cover stuff up. And now it's like they lie and literally nobody cares. That's why I say often that we got to prepare for a ruthless America. because if you know I'm bad, and you know I do murderous things and lie about it, and you're okay with it, what won't you accept? Where's the line? Or is there no line? Is it just that now, here's a word I forgot about last video. Are you now a codependent enabler to where you're so deep into it? You're so deep into it that now you depend on me being at war constantly and me doing murderous, brutal acts to other people. Is that just normal now? Is it acceptable now? I've said it before with Snowden that I don't think Americans are worth dying for. If I knew something, I wouldn't tell anybody. I wouldn't tell anybody. If I knew aliens would come, if I knew something, I wouldn't tell anybody. Americans aren't worth it. Not at all. The idea that Trump was gonna pardon, WikiLeaks, I knew that wasn't gonna happen. That's just craziness. It's never gonna happen. Trump used them like he used everybody else. He'll use you to a point, and then once he can't use you no more, it's over with. Trump has no loyalty to anybody. He never did, and he never will. Trump's loyalty is dependent upon your value to him, and that's really it. And the danger with Trump is that if you fall against him a year later, 5 years, 10 years down the road, he'll turn on you. There is no loyalty with Trump. I knew that because that's how those kind of people are. They don't have any morals or integrity or honor. They just use that stuff to bash people they don't like, just to bash people. There's no integrity. His supporters find in Trump. It's like Trump is a goodie bag. He's a goodie bag. To me, he's a bag of trash. And you find what you want. You might find some good stuff in the dumpster. I guess you might find some good glasses or, some drinking glass. You might find silverware you clean up. But it's still trash. And you got it out the dumpster. That's what Trump is. You can polish it up. You can go get you some polish from the Walmart. It's still trash. I think that we're beyond that era. I like to believe that there was a time we kind of had with Brother Bernie. And I get it. Somebody told me that black folks felt like you had Obama and then you had a man that took them back to the bad old days of George Wallace and segregation now and forever, and really took them back to that and made them remember that. And I thought about how they felt like all they could do was vote for Biden because Biden was a safe choice, and I get that. I think Bernie was the last chance to kind of do some things before collapse begins. I think it's too late. Love Cornell West. Love the brother. Excellent, brilliant dude. He had a little show with Tavis Smiley. Check it out if you get a chance. He had a podcast, Tavis Smiley, years ago. I didn't get to list all of it, but really great guy. Really brilliant guy. Great story. And unfortunately, in this era, the sad thing is, we saw what happened to Epstein. The whole world saw what happened to Epstein. I said it before that somebody was very scared, was very frightened of whatever he knew, whatever information he had, and they chose to take him off the board. And that was something that ultimately happened. And the fact that Americans kind of accepted it, and it just kind of went down the rabbit hole, if you will, that kind of bothered me. And I think that when the government takes unilateral action like that to kill prisoners, to murder people, I think that slowly it decays legitimacy that you had at one time. And I think that that's really what Proud Boys. It isn't all racism. Because the thing they say, it actually makes sense. And I think that ultimately, Epstein was a reminder of what they can do to you if you. No doubt in my mind, he was intelligent. No doubt in my mind, Epstein was Israeli intelligence involved, and he had like a fake passport and a lot of things. I mean, how he had this information. Epstein had like, what was it happening? He had like the case he had against him when he got caught. He got like a very small amount of time, and the state prosecutor dropped a lot of it, and then he was like able to go out and go out to his home and stuff on the weekends, and didn't make no sense. And then one of the guys that was actually saying that he had a lot of people in the case kept talking about not wanting to go missing, be disappeared. And in my opinion, the guy he had names, a list of names, and I think he was using. I think he like tried to sell them to somebody. It was illegal, and he went to prison. He went to jail for that. He did more time than Epstein did. So the guy that had information with help from the police did more time. He wasn't able to go out in the community. He did active. He was an active, not a weekender. I don't know what they call it up here. Where I come from, they have active inmate, and inactive sentences. You have people who go out and live lives on the weekend. Live lives, families and all that. They do the time on the weekend, do the time on holidays. They come into jail, come and go as you please. From what I understand, their rules weren't even for sex offenders. You're not even allowed to do that. When you have these kind of things go on, it plays into the narrative that it's a government plot and they're harvesting children for whatever they call it. It plays into it. And unfortunately, I can't really argue with it because it doesn't make sense. He shouldn't have gotten it. He should have been locked up. For running, basically a harem of teenage girls. That was wrong. Basically prostitution and using it to, do like Edgar Hoover did and get information on people and use it against black men. It was no doubt Epstein was intelligence. It's too much stuff. Too much stuff. One of them said, go easy on them or something. Too much. I think that the reality of it is just that Epstein being murdered, and the people were saying it's gonna happen. It happened, and the two guys, the guards didn't check on them, and the guards got like a slap on their wrist. It didn't make sense from what I understand about law enforcement. It doesn't make none of it made sense. None of it made sense in regards to how they did what they did, and I think that the fact that Americans will accept some buffoonery like that, murdering a man in prison who clearly had information on people, and him being murdered in such a way, putting him in with a violent offender when he's got information like this on so many people, Chris Tucker and Clinton and now they said Noam Chomsky ate with him, and people in the Obama White House eat with him, the head of the CIA ate with him. I mean, for him to have the information and then conveniently die in a prison cell, something don't add up. Something don't add up, and the more it comes out. So I think that it's a reminder Americans don't care about what's right. And Americans don't hold politicians accountable. And Americans don't care about integrity in public office anymore. They don't care. It doesn't matter. There is nothing that Americans won't accept anymore. So if that's the case, and you're willing to kill people like that and have them kill Americans as well, what to do? And you're able to expose American war crimes, what to do? We're going to bring them to prison, and we're going to talk. If you can do those things, I don't think, because I mean, when Michael Brooks died, it made me be thankful for our elders, like Amy Goodman, Cornell West, Chris Hedges, many of Noam Chomsky, many of people who have passed on, and people who are still alive that are 80s and 70s, and the dear brother that passed recently, I forgot his name, skipped my mind, that spoke with Noam Chomsky. Made me realize that we really got to protect our elders. We got to protect these great minds that have just so much knowledge of what we've been through and what the social, what the struggle has been, and how much work needs to be done. It still needs to be done. I think that I would rather him just go out in the sunset. And I continue to read his books, and I continue to hold them, and I continue to, keep his thoughts, keep his words in my mind. I'd rather that than, God forbid, something unfortunate happen, because unfortunately, the outrage, whatever you want to call it, of, wrongdoing in government is gone. And the outrage is instead been filled with cancel culture. I don't even think Cornel West could run as a Democrat the way he talked. I mean, I'm not a Democrat. What he talked about on there is so far from the idea of the corporate Democratic Party that I understand, that I just don't think it's possible. And I really believe, honestly, that that's not what America is anymore. That's how I realize what Trump is we can't focus on the, Trump's so bad and his tweets and, calling gay people sickos and the Kung flu and, talking about, telling black people when we start looting, we start shooting after George Floyd died. We can't focus on that and what happened to a lot of people. We can't focus on, we have to focus on people that look at these things and say, I like this. This is what I want. I want you out here and tell cops to beat up on black people. I want a president where you have Justice Department that's recognized some of these departments have brutality issues, and that something can be done about it, and that these Justice Departments recognize it, and they've shown these departments have a pattern and practice, not individual officers, but a pattern and practice of wrongdoing. Something can be done about it, and you have a president like Trump that says, I don't care. And we're just not going to act on them because we don't want to. Because what I learned, Republican Party and Trump, is they represent something else. I just think that, as I said, the idea of Americans being emboldened and being irritated about wrongdoing, I think that era is over with. I think Trump kind of used it with, not Bolton, another guy he had in there. I forgot the guy's name. He talked about the Bell Company and how Daddy had a job, Granddaddy had a job, in the Great Depression, nobody lost jobs. I think he used that sort of a social frustration with a marketplace that doesn't happen. Like when I was younger, I started getting working, and I worked for SRT, for Western, excuse me. And my grandfather, he thought, you get a job and you keep it for the rest of your life. And I was like, that's not how it happens. People have jobs, and, you move. You don't stick at a job forever anymore. Nobody does that, and that's kind of what he was talking about. Was like this. Oh, we can return. We can't return to that. There are no patriotic multinational corporations. Doesn't work that way. China didn't steal your jobs. We want a marketplace. We want a workplace that's safe, where folks aren't exposed to lead gasoline. You aren't exposed to lead paint, asbestos. You aren't exposed to that. If you want to go over to China and Foxconn and have suicide nets where they chain up their kids and stuff, then go do it. But don't sit here and tell me that I sold your jobs down the road because I don't want to be poisoned in the workplace. Because I don't want you to have black lung when you're in your 30s. China didn't steal your jobs. That's not what happened. And if you believe that, then you're setting yourself short. I really believe that we're really, the era he could have been president was in 2000s. And I think that America now is a more ruthless country. I think our government is a more ruthless country. I think that, the fact that Trump is still running and there's a lot of money behind him represents America as a ruthless nation. And that any values that Cornell West brings to the discussion are pretty much lost. And that maybe Americans don't even care about those things anymore. I hate to say that, but I think that, this is like talking about, what's the brother, the Tim Scott guy, saying that there is no racism and how he felt like, none of that's a problem. Well, if you believe that, I vote for Tim Scott. That era of Herman Cain and Allen West, that era is over with. When Mitt Romney came for president, that era is over with. And they only put those guys up there because Obama was popular. He's still popular. He didn't care about having a black man as president. Michael Steele. Look at Michael Steele now. Look at listen, they told you black behind. What the man say? The only reason Michael Steele's in there because he's black. That's what they said to him and them. That's what the Republicans said. That ain't what I said. That ain't what the Republicans. That ain't what Democrats. That ain't what no Democrats said. The Republicans told him. The reason why he's in there because he's a black man. So if you believe this, that nothing's wrong and COVID was okay and COVID may come back, something may come back, and we should handle it the same exact way, which is a failure. And January 6th was fine, Charlottesville was fine, all the violence was fine. If you think that, and everything's okie dokie, then why not vote for Trump again? What is Tim Scott advertising as different? I just think that the idea of a black man running, that the novelty of it is lost. And I like Cornell West. I think he's a brilliant man. I think he's a philosopher of our times. And I think he's a man who really has woke a lot of their slumber. And it's important. Let's talk about neoliberalism. Let's talk about, Chris Hitchens has talked about with him the fact that there's collapse zones in America. There's areas that have been sacrifice zones in America. It's important and it matters. People don't notice that Chris Hedges and Cornell West sued Obama. That's right. A black man sued the Obama administration because he didn't carry out things he's supposed to carry. He said he would do. He didn't do it. I always respected him for that. That's the difference between us and Republicans. This isn't a cult. I'm not in a cultist worship of Joe Biden. If he does wrong, call it out. If he does right, but I'm not going to defend people who don't stand up and hold themselves accountable. The Trump people are cults. And I just think it's important to remember that maybe that era is over with of what he's talking about. That era is over with. And I'm not sure that there will even be a huge drive for something that many of us know just simply makes sense. Listen.